Am I the idiot for not taking down my video that was a gift from my best man? I have a sister that's 6 years older than me. My parents for years cancel on me last min because of my sister. I have a basketball game. Ops sorry sister doesn't feel like going out. I am graduating. Ops sorry sister had a bad day at work. They have missed both major and smaller events in my life because of her meltdowns. I met the love of my life. We decided to tie the knot. From the beginning I told my parents how I am worried my sister will ruin another special moment in my life. My mom told me over and over again it would not happen. The day of my wedding, I received a voicemail from my mom saying they couldn't come because my sister's dog was sick and she was upset. I was hurt. My best man, however, is a jokester. He took my phone, then went to my fiancée and asked if he could post a video of our wedding as a gift on social media. She loved his idea. I had no idea about it until I came home. Our honeymoon was at a lakeside cabin. No cell service. The post caption was, "My best friend. He is an amazing person even if his parents never showed up for him." Video was still pictures of us next to her parents, me on the dance floor, cutting the cake. Where you would normally see both parents in wedding pictures. The sound behind the video was my mom's voicemail explaining how they couldn't come because my sister's dog was sick. I came home a week later to hundreds of messages. Family members from both sides insisting I take it down. I was told my sister hasn't stopped crying. My mom is refusing to leave the house. I may be the A here. I didn't take it down when I got my messages. I didn't call my family back right away. I waited until my vacation time was over at work and enjoyed my time with my wife in our new home. Before I contacted anyone, my dad told me to take down the video. It was just a bad night for them. That they will make it up to me and my wife for not coming. My reply was exactly, how do you plan to make up my wedding? It's a once in a lifetime thing. You choose to ignore my feeling on the whole matter. Then he just repeated he will make it up to me. I told him I would take down the video only when he made up missing my wedding. Flustered, we both hung up the phone before we both said things we shouldn't have. Am I the A here? I could have just taken down the video. Top replies. Not the idiot. They were finally called out on their blatant favoritism and they obviously didn't take it well. I'd hold off inviting them anywhere or to anything. Original poster. At least for a while. Don't make them your first priority when you clearly aren't theirs. Focus on your new wife and your absolutely awesome best friend. They both sound like keepers. Second reply. TBH, my parents missing my wedding because my sister's dog was sick and she was sad would probably be no contact worthy for me. Especially if my sister was 6 years older than me. If she was 4 and the family pet was dying, it may be understandable, but a grown-ass woman needing both her parents to be consoled because her dog wasn't well? Jesus. Blatant golden child, black sheep nonsense going on there. Daughter gets pandered and spoiled since her birth, to the point of her taking it absolutely for granted. Son gets neglected and emotionally abused, to the point of him knowing better than to expect anything from his parents at all. Third reply. Not the idiot. It was just a bad night, out of many, many other bad nights, where they ignored you in favor of your sister's whims. See if your best man can pull up footage of your graduation, and maybe pictures from games they missed, and produce a greatest hits compilation video to post right next to the wedding video. The second story. Am I the idiot for giving my mother-in-law a fake copy of my house key and exposing her on Christmas dinner? I want to preface this by saying that IF34 married my husband M37 a year ago. His mom is snoopy and annoying AF. She can't help it, that is just how she is, as my dear-in-laws say. My husband and I purchased a new house recently. My mother-in-law kept pushing to get an emergency key. She promised that she only use it in an emergency, but given the fact that she had an emergency key to our old apartment and walked in on us being intimate twice. But my husband didn't think it was big deal. I just couldn't trust her, so I just sent her a fake key, after she kept pushing, and she had a smug on her face after I hand-delivered it to her. Days gone by and on Christmas dinner mother-in-law angrily called me out on the fact I gave her a fake copy of the house key. She shamed me for doing this in front of everyone, but in my defensive I asked her how she found out, and she said days ago when she came over at 4 while my husband and were out. I reminded her, didn't you promise you wouldn't use it unless there's an emergency? So you tried to get in when there was no emergency and you broke the promise you made to us. She looked red in the face and the other family started staring and some even laughed at her for the face she made. She suddenly got up from her seat and rushed into the kitchen where she had a huge meltdown so loud the next door neighbors must have heard. Literally, I've never heard a 60-plus-year-old woman throw a tantrum like that. Needless to say, dinner went awkward and my husband and his sister were giving me looks. My husband went off on me in the car and said I lied and manipulated and humiliated and exposed his mom and said he wouldn't have let me get away with it had he known. We had an argument and he is demanding I apologize to his mom for my childish behavior and for ruining Christmas dinner for the whole family. Am I the idiot? Original poster update. Every sucks. So this went off unexpectedly and I thought I'd show my husband some pretty helpful comments I found here minutes ago, but he got mad at me when he saw it and said I was nuts to talk about his family online. He demanded my phone so he could delete it, but I refused and I went upstairs and into the bedroom. I never seen him so agitated and I didn't think he'd react like that, honestly. But thank you guys for your support. It really means so much. I'll update if I can. Thanks again. The top replies. Seriously. Rethink this whole marriage if he isn't willing to side with you and recognize how much of a boundary issue this is. Original poster. Or do some serious counseling with your husband. He is taking mom's side over his wife's and that's a no-go. Especially when she is the one who brought this up at Christmas dinner to try and shame you. She promised she would only use in an emergency and was found out. Too bad, so sad. Time for your husband to take stock of his marriage and figure out where his loyalties lie. At this point, they don't seem to be with you. Not the idiot. Second reply. Not the idiot, but your husband seems to have no problem of you being humiliated and shamed in front of people. He seems to have no regards to your need of privacy and dignity. The third reply. The husband is sacrificing his spouse's reasonable right to privacy and security in her own home on the altar of his mother's giant ego. First, this whole, she can't help being intrusive, narrative is nonsense. One has to make a conscious effort to show up to someone else's home unannounced and enter without an invitation repeatedly. Second, the husband has to have several screws loose to think that spousal intimacy is a family spectator sport. Third, the mother is creepy as hell for continuing to show up unannounced despite walking in on her adult son and his wife repeatedly. Does she have any pointers to add to his game, too? Fourth, if this is someone who has zero reservations regarding intruding on their intimate moments, something tells me that snooping through their personal belongings is not above possibility. Otherwise, why was she there? Original poster. Tell your husband as such. While he might think it hunky-dory that his mother walked in on your intimacy, you found it an egregious invasion of your privacy, and following this situation, you tested his mother to see whether she would respect your boundaries, since he doesn't have any. She lied, and she failed. He needs to establish boundaries now before this woman is demanding that you give birth with her in the room and he stands silently by as you defend your right to basic autonomy. And she will, not the idiot. Original poster. Third story. Am I the idiot for speaking Italian to my GF's rude Italian-American family and embarrassing them? Backstory. Due to my dad's job, we lived in Italy for 3 years when I was younger, so I speak Italian almost fluently. It's been a while, so I've lost some of it. Recently I started dating a girl. She's great and I love her so much. I met her family a few nights ago for dinner. She warned me that the male side of her family is very big into being macho, into testing the boys the women date, and are very big on taking pride in their Italian ancestry. I think besides the grandfather, however, they were almost all born in Bergen County, New Jersey, but whatever, it's nice to take pride in one's heritage. Long story short, at dinner they kept making jokes at my expense. I honestly would not call it bullying. Just things about my height, beard, shaved head. They tried making fun of my IT job too, but stopped once I told them my income. It was overall not a bad experience, but a not so pleasant one. Anyways, her older brother kept pushing things, giving me exceptional amounts of shit for playing lacrosse in HS. Apparently it's a sport for prissy rich kids and not manly like football or baseball. He ended his rant by saying, "Hey, we're just a big Italian family, we're loud and tell it how we see it." Ha ha ha. And all the family except my girlfriend laughed. So I, for the next minute, responded to everything they said in Italian. My girlfriend buried her head in shame. The grandfather laughed and everyone else kept looking at each other confused before telling me they didn't speak Italian. I replied, "Then don't use your Italian heritage as an excuse to behave poorly when you can't even speak the language." They got mad, but the grandfather told them all I was right and to be quiet. My girlfriend isn't mad, just ashamed. I think the grandfather likes me, but word from my GF's sister is that all the men are furious, think I'm a smart ass and that I disrespected them and their masculinity in an unforgivable way. So am I the idiot? There may have been some confusion as to my GF's reaction. She was ashamed her family dug so deep into me, not about my response. After wanting to die for the next 48 hours, she agreed I did the right thing and that it was funny. The first reply. The granddad knows it. He probably half rolls his eyes every time they say they are Italian when he knows he's the last speaker. You shut them down in the most epic/appropriate way possible. Your girlfriend should be proud, flaunting that her boyfriend is more Italian than any of them. Second reply. Not the idiot, they were being jerks. As someone who has also been to Italy a bunch of times, I know there is a big difference between Italian Americans and real Italians. Real Italians are not loud in public, or call it how they see it. In fact, that is how you spot an American tourist in Italy. Third reply. Lol. They wouldn't say lacrosse is for prisses if they had ever played, especially compared to baseball. All the football/hockey kids I know where I live play lacrosse during the off-season. It is an expensive sport though. Not the idiot. They sound insecure AF. The grandfather knows what's up. The fourth story. Am I the idiot for embarrassing my father-in-law after I repeatedly asked him to explain his joke to me? I, 27F. Used to be an escort, H*oak, from 18 until I was 23. I'm not proud of it, but I also don't give a fork because I did what I had to do to keep studying and a roof over my head. That's how I met my now fiancé, 37M. Though he was never my client. We began to date when I was 25 and 3 or 4 months after that his brother-in-law exposed me. No idea how he found out, because there's no way my fiancé knew, and thus we had to come clean in front of his whole family. Yes, I did that. Yes, he knows. Yes, he doesn't care. It was 2 years ago. At that time, we got over it. After that, there was a span of 3 to 4 months in where my mother-in-law and some of my fiancé's aunts and cousin, police, their husband when I was around. It was really weird tbh because this dudes were like 40 to 60 yo and I wasn't that desperate. So my fiancé shut their nonsense hard, and even when his family still gives me the side eye from time to time, we thought it was behind us. He proposed last year and 5 months ago we found out that I was pregnant. We were really happy about it and we told his family as soon as we knew. His sisters and young brother were happy for us, but his mom took me aside and begged me to be honest with her and asked if this was really my fiancé's child. I was taken aback, but I just rolled my eyes and said yes. She gave me some shitty speech about how she only wanted to make sure, and that she was happy to be a grandmother. Well, last weekend we were at his parents' with his family and some of his friends, and we were talking about the name, how he might look, small talk. We will love him regardless, but there's always some, "Oh, I hope he gets your nose. MMH, I like your eyes. I hope he gets them," comments. And my father-in-law said that he and his children have a birthmark in the inner tight and that even his grandchildren, one of my son-in-law's kids, got them. So our baby might too. And then he said, "But how can we know from who he got it? It may as well be from me, my boy, or my brothers," and he and his brothers began to laugh. My fiancé got mad, and before he could say anything I said, "I don't get it," and my father-in-law was, "Yeah, because it runs in the family," and I said again, "I don't get it. Why would he get it from you?" And he began to get nervous and said, "Because you know. It's just a joke, original poster." And I said, "But I don't get it," and you all laughed. Explain, it got to the point that some of his friends said, "Hey, it's not funny," so he excused himself and left. Later my fiancé's brother-in-law came to me and said that I was wrong for embarrassing him like that in his own house and that I knew what the joke was about, and because of my past, I shouldn't be surprised. Now they're all demanding that I apologize to my father-in-law. The top replies, "You know you're not the idiot. They're sexually harassing you, aggressively, in a family setting. Honestly, I would have added, it sounds like you're implying that we've had sex, and I don't understand why that's a joke you'd make to your daughter-in-law." Father-in-law clearly knows he's wrong. I say push back as hard as you can. Second reply, she was absolutely right not to. Because they are looking for a gotcha moment too. Don't give it to them. When you blatantly say the thing everyone is avoiding saying, people like father-in-law like to pretend like you are the one that took it too far, or that said the thing they didn't mean. Even if it doesn't make logical sense, they act like since you're the one that said the nasty thing out loud and they only implied it as a joke, you're a weirdo. Original Poster's approach was absolutely perfect because, while everyone pretty much knows Original Poster clocked what's going on and is calling him on it, no one can outright say she's the one twisting things, including father-in-law. She can just lean very hard on the "no, I don't know what the heck you're talking about" implied. Because surely what it sounds like can't be what you actually meant. So please explain what you did mean. It perfectly illustrates that there is only one thing he could have meant. And the fact that he is not willing to say it out loud illustrates that he knows it's a messed up thing to imply in the first place. Saying, "It sounds like you're saying whatever," might feel like taking control in the moment, but gives them the power back to try and control the argument, however fallaciously, instead of a verbal tennis match, or a mic drop. When someone else can pick up where you left off, you're just letting them keep the mic, are not engaging with their serve, and applying more and more pressure on them to take responsibility for their behavior. Instead of allowing them to say, "I didn't mean that," or, "You can't take a joke," you're forcing them to say, "This is what I meant," or, "This is why I thought my joke was funny."